Coming up on this episode of Brody Even Talk Pinball, we do a recap of the Allentown Pinball Show, my new business venture.
Batman 66 review and more coming up.
Double super jackpot!
I need a ramp. I need a loop. I want targets I can hit. I need the scoop. I need a double super jackpot in my life. That's right.
Hey guys, what's going on? It is Monday, May 29th, Memorial Day. I'm Nick Lane.
Kevin Manny.
You're listening to and or watching Brody Even Talk Pinball, our monthly pinball podcast, although this is a bonus episode because if you remember and you tuned in, there was just an episode last Monday.
There was.
With special guest Mick Sertuna, a.k.a. Mike Lukanoff.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping people wouldn't notice that it was him instead of you, but people caught on pretty quick.
Well,
so.
he needs to get rid of the glasses, first of all.
Yeah,
and he can kind of do a pretty decent Nick impression.
He does.
You know, I've gone there and I've done the tuna impression. Now he needs to reciprocate and mock me a little bit.
That's right.
A dead-on Nick impression. I don't know what my telltale signs are, but I know a Mixer Tuna. I haven't said that.
Yes.
And then Burgley.
Yep.
But that nailed
he
it.
needs to grow his hair out a little bit to get your new hairstyle going.
I'm gonna shave it so I can look more like Tuna. Don't worry. Next episode will be shaved. But thanks for Mike for filling in. That's really cool of him. And you guys get to hear Mike talk a little bit more. Mm-hmm. If you haven't seen him on our Saturday streams, which is really cool. I was absent because I was absolutely burned out. And I think Kevin, you mentioned it last time, but last weekend, just so much pinball. So I had taken Friday off last weekend to go to Nickel City Con, which is a convention in Buffalo, New York. It's the second year they did it. It's a Comic-Con kind of convention. And they had invited us to bring pinball machines there. At first I said no, and finally I relented. And we'll get into why I relented. There's a good reason behind it. But we brought 4 pinball machines there. I was there all day Friday, all day Sunday. And then, well, what happened to Saturday, Nick? I was participating in the Silver Ball Cyclorama tournament. So by Sunday evening at the end of that pinball show, Nickel City Con, I come down from migraine. I was just absolutely beat. I was sick the next day from work. So I had to tap out, and Kevin, like a champ, carried through with Mixer Tuna.
Yeah, we wanted to do a show before the St. Jude fundraiser that we did, and we'll get into that a little bit more later. But yeah, we still cranked out an episode, and it was fun. You know, like you said, talking to Tuna a little bit more, and letting our podcast listeners who may not know who he is or have seen him on our Twitch channel get to know him a little bit more. Get to know your bro.
Yeah, so we could have rested on our laurels because we met our unofficial quota of our once a month podcast. But number one, we have some Patreon backers, and one of the perks of being at one of the levels on Patreon is that you get to vote on what game we review. And one of the games that was chosen for that month, or the game that was chosen that month, was Batman 66. So I wanted to make sure we came on and did a podcast reviewing that game for that month to honor our supporters. So thank you guys for supporting us on Patreon. If you're interested in learning more about that and want to support us, you can go to patreon.com/Buffalo Pinball, and there's various levels there. But this is a thank you, and this is an honor of you guys for doing that. And then also, I don't want to get too backed up because there's some news that happened sort of in the month of May, going way back.
Yeah.
But before we get in that, Kevin, do you want to do a rundown of partners?
Sure. Yeah.
Doing it in reverse order, though. That's the challenge for today.
Here you go. So thank you to all of our partners that you guys make this possible. So Comet Pinball, CometPinball.com, exclusive and quality LEDs for less. I just placed an order with them for Comet Pinball LEDs for my Viking, which we'll talk about a little later. Double Danger, DDPinball.com. Use coupon code Buffalo to save 15% on all your favorite hot pinball swag. Shirts, pins. I hear they have some awesome new Buffalo Pinball shirts that you may or may not be able to pick up there by now. I don't know. I didn't see if they're up on the store yet, but if they're not, they'll be there soon. You can grab a pin there too. Pinball Life, pinballlife.com. if you have a pinball machine, pinball machines break, and when they break, you need parts. You get your parts from pinballlife.com. So visit Pinball Life. Jersey Jack, jerseyjackpinball.com, makers of Wizard of Oz, The Hobbit, and the brand new Dialed In, which we played this week on the brand new 1.0 code. We'll talk about that later in the show. Community Beer Works. If you're in Buffalo and you like beer, you should go to Community Beer Works or visit communitybeerworks.com for more info. Titan Pinball, titanpinball.com, maker of silicone rings for your pinball machines. So these are awesome. They have the feel of traditional pinball rubber, but they're made of silicone and they clean up good. They hold up nice. And I just put a full set of those on Viking as well. So when you place your order there, use coupon code Buffalo to save 10%. The Pinball Arcade, pinballarcade.com, makers of virtual recreations of real pinball machines. So if you want to play, something like Jackpot on your phone, you could do that, or you can play it on your Nintendo thing or Xbox, whatever. Or go to tiltcycle.com. Dan Burfield makes awesome upcycled pinball art, so he would probably use my Viking playfield for upcycled art if I were not.
How did he not get his hands on that game?
I know.
He stole one from Dan.
This
Sorry.
This is a candidate for upcycling, but
Sorry, art collectors.
I'm powering through the play on this, so you guys will see it on the stream. But when you order from Tilt Cycle, he makes awesome art out of old repurposed pinball machine parts. So use coupon code Buffalo to save 20% on your order with Dan. So thank you to all our partners.
Cool. And another announcement, I've been saying this to everybody's dismay. Brody Even Pinball is now in its summer hiatus. So that's our Thursday streaming show at 8 o'clock. We're still streaming. We're still streaming pinball more than ever,
Yes.
mind you. So I'll be streaming Dialed In tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Eastern if you want to catch that before it goes back to Jersey Jack. But yeah, we're just every year we take the summer off from our featured show, which we then archive on YouTube. So a lot of you folks listening, maybe you've never seen us on Twitch, but you've probably seen us on YouTube at some point. That's the Brody Even Pinball Show. With that being said, we will be doing random shows throughout the summer. Maybe once a month, something like that, if the opportunity presents itself. And then I miss it, man. That's that's one of my favorite things to do in terms of streaming, because I get to see Kevin and Rob and Jay and I get to see Martha, right?
Yep. You never see her.
I don't see enough of her.
Although I did see that Jay is injured on Facebook today. Is he going to be okay to play pinball?
I had no idea he was injured. What happened?
His arm was in a sling, so it's
that
probably
sucks,
a
man.
good thing we're taking the summer off from Bro.
Yeah.
Triton in the chat asked when it will be back, so we're taking off Memorial Day to Labor Day. We'll be back the week after Labor Day.
That's standard. And like I said, we'll probably have some bro shows here and there. So
there'll be a few
stay
in there
tuned.
over the summer.
But we are streaming, and this is more than ever. I remind everybody before you get upset with me. We're streaming on Mondays at 8 o'clock Eastern. That's Kevin. We're going to be streaming Tuesdays. That's myself at 8 o'clock. Wednesday morning, Austin, and that's in the AM. And then Saturday at 8 p.m. with Mixer Tuna. So plenty of pinball to watch live. And then we will be continuing doing our monthly podcast.
We're just going to cross that one out. We're not doing this one for a couple months.
There you go. Kevin's crossing it out on the screen for you live viewers. Yeah, that's editing, man. That's why revamp it. Who cares? Then you can uncross it out and all that.
I'm gonna do that. That'll be our new away message when we're on Twitch. We're not broadcasting.
All right, let's go some game room updates, because believe it or not, you have an update, right? From
a
week ago.
I do.
Been a week?
Yeah, it's been a week since I got Viking, and I spent, if folks were watching on Twitch last night, I live streamed shopping the whole thing out. Well, almost the whole thing. I had done one section of it before I did the broadcast, but basically tore down the whole machine, cleaned underneath everything, put new Titan rings on the whole thing, Comet LEDs in the GI, and yeah, just all the plastics were super nasty and dirty. I am going to get some new pop-upper caps for it, because they are all burnt from the incandescent bulbs that were under there for 30 years or whatever. But other than that, it's playing pretty well. It was doing some weird stuff where the game would just stop in the middle. It's kind of like you tilted, but you didn't tilt, sort of thing. It's not an actual phantom tilt. There's a mechanical problem with it.
Okay, so they were asking in the chat. Joe Shorts was asking about that. So you don't know what's up with that
no,
yet.
I've been I haven't had much time to goof with it today, and I was going back and forth with Bruce a little bit about it. He thinks it might be the power distribution board, a connection on there, maybe.
Bruce from the Slam Tilt podcast.
Bruce, says you may or may not know
Bruce
from
is
Slam.
these are Bruce. When you say Bruce and pinball,
Yeah,
it's
you know
pretty
Bruce.
Much, yeah.
We talk about him on pretty much every show.
Yeah.
So, That's pretty much it. The playfield, so it's got a whole bunch of wear in the middle of the playfield. And as I was shopping out, I discovered that at some point someone must have decided, well, I don't want it to get any worse than it already is, so I'm going to just put a giant piece of Mylar over the whole playfield. So this whole like section of the playfield in the middle has Mylar on it. So that kind of, unless I want to take that off, I can't really restore the playfield. And if I do take it off, it's probably going to make it like 10 times worse. So
I say burn it.
I'll probably just leave it.
Send it to Dan. Somebody needs to do a CPR of that game.
I know.
Well, there's probably not a lot of them, right?
Yeah.
It's 2,500 maybe.
Yeah. There was a couple thousand.
I'm going to keep on spouting out misinformation, just guessing. Okay.
Yeah. The chat room can verify how many Vikings were made. But yeah, it's not a game that I had known about or seen very much. The first time I played it at Bruce's. And so I was like, it's a Bally game and it's got a cool theme and it's trash, so let's make everybody on Twitch lose their minds when I stream a game with a terrible playfield.
I like it, man. It's got inline drops, it's got a spinner, but it's like Matahari. It's like if you added those things to Matahari, which is a great game, you would have Viking.
Yep.
So I'm intrigued. I want to play it when it's ready and kind of learn what's going on in that game.
Yep. The other thing about it is like the side of the body of the cabinet is just painted red. So
this game is so close to the graveyard. It wants to die, but Kevin won't let it.
I'm keeping it alive, baby.
Yeah.
Keeping it alive. Bringing it to Twitch.
That's cool though. Congrats on getting that game.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm excited. It's one more thing. So last night I couldn't figure out like was it tilting? What was going on? Why did it stop in the middle of the game? And I was playing it with like a back glass off of it today, and I realized that I couldn't tell it was tilting because somebody had taken duct tape and put it over the back glass to keep it on, but the duct tape is in front of the light where the tilt light is, so you can't see when you tilt.
Oh my god, dude. That game. It's on life support.
It's a beauty. It's home use only, collector's quality.
What is beyond when somebody says players quality? That's beyond players quality. That's worse than that. So I don't know what the what the word is for.
Sub players quality. I don't know.
Let's figure out a name for it.
Yeah, maybe chat room can figure it out.
I would like a nice one day. If I ever saw one, I'd be tempted to pull the trigger on it because in theory, it's got everything I want in a game.
Yeah,
so
it's cool. So yeah, that's about it for Gameroom updates for the week. How about you?
I think I've got a couple, believe it or not.
Oh, there you go.
So I don't know if I mentioned in the last podcast. I might have mentioned that I am getting an 8-ball champ, but I've gotten an 8-ball champ. So I got that from Bruce again. See, everything comes back to Bruce. I got it from Bruce, and Martha and I split it. God bless her. I think it needs some love, and I gotta apologize if Bruce is listening to this. I've probably driven him crazy, but I am convinced that there's something wrong with those flippers in there because they don't go up all the way. When you engage them, they're pretty much flat, so you can't trap the ball.
Okay.
It's to the point where Martha was playing it, and she came up from like the downstairs, and she's like, "We're selling that game." She's like, "I hate it. I hate it." I was like, "What's going on? Settle down. Let's talk it through. Use the words." And she doesn't like that you can't trap it. I was like, "I think that's wrong. Let's look into it." So I got some parts to rebuild it. Number one, it's got 2 wrong coil stops on it, so that's a little wonky.
Part of the problem, yeah.
And then I had to go to Pinball Resource, and I was like looking for parts for 8-ball champ, but there's like I think there's an asterisk there. It says like does not include 8-ball champ. So I called them up, and I mean when they start saying technical stuff, and this is not even that technical, my mind glazes over, and I'm just like I get the point. But I guess they were saying something to the effect like it might be wrong what's even in the manual that it calls for, because with that game, I think they had a third party to design the mech or the playfield or something. There's something really weird going on with that game. Because Bruce was telling me, he's like, I've seen other 8-ball champs and it only goes up flat. Now, I played the one at Pop, but I don't remember that. I'm very like OCD, so I would notice these things. But maybe everybody's putting the wrong parts in because of that. Anyways, I'm going to get to the bottom of that. I've got what I believe are the right parts. I just need an adult to come over and install them for me. And then hopefully that's working properly and we don't have to sell the game. So maybe if somebody's familiar with that game and they know exactly what I'm talking about, let me know. You can even message us at buffalopinball@gmail.com. That goes to me. I'd be curious if you have some insight or some backstory with that game, because it's a cool game.
Yeah.
And anytime I've played it, I didn't remember doing that, and I like how it shot, like how it felt. I like it actually better than 8-Ball Deluxe because there's more stuff to do on it. It's kind of this open play field. So maybe we'll talk.
It makes you shoot all over the play field.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
And it's got this got like parts from Fathom where you kind of go back. You know, in Fathom where you go in the back, you loop in the back, and you hit down the drop targets. There's no drop targets back there, but it's got that mech, and I think it's got the spinner around the same area that Fathom had. So I don't know. It's pretty cool. There's like 2 and 3 times playfield multipliers when you get all the balls down. There's a lot going on in the game. I like it's a shooter's game, so hopefully we can get to play right. And, eventually we'll stream that, provided Martha doesn't get pissed off. Even if we sell it, we'll stream it.
You got to stream it at least once.
But I see that coming up maybe on the next season of the Bro Show.
Yep.
Or maybe a special summer one. We'll see. We'll see.
A super high-quality Viking, too, probably.
Yeah. Yeah, but the one that we do in the summer, right?
Yeah.
We got an 8-ball champ. We'll stream that. And then keeping with the theme of pool games, when we were down at Allentown, I had no intention of buying a pinball machine. Absolutely not. I'm just like tapped out of everything that's going on in life. But this is crazy talk. Martha's like, she was playing Bad Girls, and she's like, "Do you want to get this game?" Of course, I want to get this game.
I wish I had queued up some pictures of Bad Girls. I would love to show it right now.
I thought anybody like, your significant other would be like, and I'm talking because mostly guys, right? Like, there's no way that ugly Gottlieb is coming in the house, right? With this photorealistic from these 80s, like punk women, like wearing like pretty much lingerie. Like, it's just so ridiculous, that game. But that's what's awesome about it. That's why I love it.
That is what makes it great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She couldn't even hear the music when she was playing it, but she's like, no, I like it because it's like 8-Ball Deluxe. I was like, you're right, it is. So Bad Girls, if you haven't seen it, is from Gottlieb in 1988. It is like a reverse of 8-Ball Deluxe, which that's a great game, and we both like that game. But it has even more to it. So it's got 2 spinners in it. It's got multi-ball. After you hit down all the targets, you know how the targets represent the balls. After you hit them all down and hit the 8-ball on this game, it creates a hurry up. So it's just got more rules, more going on there. It's a fun game. So I'm super happy to have that. That needs some love too, though, because it needs a total flipper rebuild. So again, it's sort of, I've got these 2 pool games. They both need flipper rebuilds on them, so I can finally enjoy them. But in true Gottlieb fashion of that time period, the music is amazing.
It is really good. I was playing it when we got done playing Dialed In the other day from Next Place. I was like, gotta play some Bad Girls, right? And the music just like, it brings a smile to your face. It's and the cabinet has like mirrors on it, like literal mirrors on the sides of the cabinet.
It's cool.
I've never seen a cabinet looking like that.
Because like the pool table on the back glass is like a mirrored pool table, so like the cabinet has mirrors on it. It's really weird. I don't know, man. It's something else. Check that game out. Like, if you're thinking, yeah, I like 8-Ball Deluxe, then I don't see why you wouldn't like this game, because it's just like that, but more. Unless you just hate like Gottlieb flippers or something weird like that, and like I get it, but
I used to think roller games was the ultimate like 80s cheese game, but Bad Girls beats it.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so.
We'll to have our ultimate 80s cheesy top list at some point.
I like that.
I like that because I can totally get into that.
Yep,
and maybe there's some that we're not even considering. And we'll be on the hunt.
Yeah.
I want a whole Gottlieb room because Martha was like looking up Bad Girls on like where to play on Pinside. Yeah. And there's this place, I think the Pinball Gallery out like by Philadelphia, and there's a picture of it there.
Oh man.
And in that room, she's like, oh, it must be like a Gottlieb room, because she saw this game Rock next to it. She's like, ooh, Rock. I was like, we can have a Gottlieb room,
and you can get Punk and Gold Wings. Just think of all the
oh my god,
just think of all the 80s cheese.
Yeah. Yummy cheese. So
nailed it.
Speaking of which, when Martha's like, do you want to get this game? I was like, yeah, I'll do that. I'll split that game with you. But we need to turn that like spare room into a pinball room. She's like, okay. So now you'll know what room I'm talking about if you watch a stream sometimes, because it's not in my basement. There was like a bookshelf and a desk. I mean, it was this room that wasn't really being used, but now we got rid of all that crap. Okay, get rid of the bookshelf, get rid of the photos, the
dead
desk,
plants,
the dead plant cemetery. We put up some blackout curtains. And she's like, great, there's another cave in the house, because the living room's a cave because we got like a theater projector set up in there. So it's just great. It's just
shut
really,
out the entire world.
It's just really good.
Sounds amazing.
All because of Bad Girls Pinball. Nothing I'm saying makes sense to me right now. If you told me this years ago, I can't fathom. I can't stop even think about this, but it's amazing. So that's my game room update. I don't mess around, Kevin, when I have updates. That's what you got to understand.
You added a whole additional game room.
Yes.
That is your update.
That's my update. I don't think I can continue this pace, though.
Yeah,
I
there's
think,
a dialed in it right now, too. It's like,
oh
holy
my
crap.
God. There's dialed in. That's a good segue. So dialed in. Here's
Yeah.
dialed in. I have dialed in because so I reached out to Jack, and they were trying to get dialed in to go to Nickel City Con, or actually the organizer of Nickel City Con. I was like, try calling Jack or call Stern or whatever and see if they want to send. So Jack was like, he's in. If I will be his rep. So I was like, I'll be a rep. You send me a dialed in. So he did. And there's only 5 prototypes floating around out there right now. He sent one up, and we brought it to the show, which was awesome. The game got played from Friday to Sunday. People loved it. There's some cool pictures of like Transformers and stuff, people in costumes like playing them.
Those photos got huge love on social media.
Yeah. So it got a lot of love. So after the con, I have it back at my place very temporarily because it's going to be shipped back. I don't know where it's going now, but it's going back to Jersey Jack, and then it's got to go out to shows, right? Because they have limited numbers of dialed in that they can kind of send out there, and people need to play this game because it's amazing. But that's in my game room for a couple more days, which is awesome. And if you want to see dialed in, it's complete right now. It's at version 1.0. That just came out maybe in a week or two ago, something like that.
Yeah.
I reached out to the JJP team, and Ted Estes wrote me back saying that the code is considered complete at version 1.0. It's going to ship with version 1.1. The only thing that you're going to see changing are just minor things like maybe scoring updates, maybe like, lighting or maybe sounds or things like that. But what you see is pretty much what you get.
Yep.
And it feels complete too. It feels great. So we've got a video of that up on our YouTube channel. You can check it out. It's already got 1,000 hits. It's dialed in. It's beautiful. It's awesome.
It's huge.
Yeah. And like I said, we're going to stream it tomorrow at Tuesday. So if you're listening to this podcast in the morning or night, then you can still catch it live.
So I was kind of like trolling through the Pinside posts about dialed in after our stream, and one thing I read that I didn't realize, and maybe you said this during the stream, was that we were kind of wondering like how the modes work, because I know the modes are supposed to go on there's a screen in like a cell phone in the game that shows the modes, but I guess when you collect more SIM cards, that unlocks more modes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But okay, maybe.
Yeah.
But
maybe it's wrong. That's just what I read. But
well, here's the thing. Every time you play, the modes are somewhat randomized, but some like I've never seen like early on in the game, like Acid Rain. Okay.
Okay.
So I only saw Acid Rain after I got like deeper into the game.
Okay.
But like anytime you hit like the guy, it will start a mode. So I don't think so. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, there's stuff to figure out in that.
There's a lot happening in that game. So.
Yeah. So why don't we talk about that, Kev, since we're on the subject, and you got to play it on the Bro Show, and not many people have played it as extensively as we have had the privilege. And as I said before, we've got a partnership with Jersey Jack where we stream his games in exchange for him sending us a game to stream. He's not paying us to say anything great about the game or whatever. But we've just chosen not to review his games because obviously, when it'd be biased, right? Mm-hmm. But we can talk about it. Why don't you talk about what your impressions are in the game from having played it for a couple hours?
Yeah, so this is by far my favorite Jersey Jack game so far. Wizard of Oz, it came out, and I was like, all right, this is impressive. There's a lot in it. Theme doesn't really do it for me. And maybe that's one of those games that you have to have in your house to really dig into it and get into it, because the code, it's got Keith code in it. Hobbit, I was a little cooler with the theme. And again, after we got a loaner of that, so after streaming it for hours and hours, I really kind of fell in love with that game. And we have one on location here in Buffalo, and I'm glad we do, because I like playing it when we go out. And Hobbit is beautiful, as we've talked about many times. Dialed In just like takes everything Jersey Jack has been doing up to this point and like puts it all together in like a really solid package. It's got it's a Pat Lawler design, shoots awesome. It's packed. Oh my god, it's packed. Like I remember when we played it at the factory the first time. I was just like, oh, there's this thing here, or oh, and there's this other thing here, and there's all this stuff, and they keep improving on it too. Like the the hologram in the middle of it. That's, if you guys haven't seen it, there's like a theater. They call it the theater in the middle, and it's a hologram. And they're implementing that way better than ever I've seen like holograms put in pinball. It's like it's got a magnet in there, so it can act like inline drop targets. We discovered that on the stream. That's awesome. Or they can turn it off completely, and it can be clear, so you can just see right through it. It doesn't interfere with gameplay when they don't want it to. I don't know. It's a game I get excited to play, and I have a lot of fun playing it. And I'm actually considering buying one. So hopefully it'll be the first Jersey Jack game in my game room.
Cool. So I agree with Kevin that it's my favorite Jersey Jack game. I'm very impressed with this game. I've really enjoyed playing it. I play every moment I can while I still have it.
Yeah, it's precious
right.
time.
It's beautiful. It's absolutely a beautiful game, from the cabinet to the playfield to the presentation. The lighting is super impressive in that game. I mean, Hobbit was very, very impressive and amazing with the lighting. They do the best lighting, I think, of any company right now. And that's saying a lot, because Stern is doing an excellent job as well with their releases. But their Jersey Jack is a step above that even, and that's saying a lot. It shoots amazingly well. The shots are very satisfying in it. It's fun. I love this, and I say all this because there's people out there who have ordered this game and waiting for it. You will not be disappointed. I promise you that. You will not be disappointed in this game. Good on you for having pulled the trigger on it, because it delivers. It's something I've said before, and I'll probably say again and again. It's like Williams never disappeared when you play this game. It is like Williams is still making a game, and to a lot of people, that's exactly what they've been looking for. When Williams went away, the build quality, the feel, that's been missed. Mm-hmm. Sort of the original theme, that's been missed. And, while you had Wizard of Oz and Hobbit, it had Williams parts. It still felt like a distinct machine from that. But this game with Pat Lawler behind the wheel designing the game, Ted Estes coding it, just the build quality from Jersey Jack, it is there, man. It is going to be a hit for them. And I'm trying to figure out how to buy one too. No joke. I've been talking to Martha. We're trying to figure out how we can get a dialed in. So I wouldn't be surprised if Kevin and I both get one.
Yep, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't want that game to leave my place, so I'm going to need to replace it with one because it's just something special. It's great. And the hologram, as you mentioned before, very well implemented. Like, I don't like Pinball 2000. Because the playfields are shorter, right? And it's just really dark, and that screen kind of dominates. This is a way of using that technology in a way that doesn't detract from the game. You're playing pinball. It's smartly done. Like you said, Kevin, you can see through it when it's not active, and when it is active, it's very sharp. It adds a level of immersion to it. It can do more in the game. I don't know, man. I'm going to sort of rambling on. I'm just really happy with the way that came out. So kudos to all the owners and future owners out there. If you haven't spent time with it, seek it out at a pinball show. Find a collector who's got it, and play the crap out of it. I think you'll like it a lot. It's not a cheap game, but for you could see where your money's going. There's no doubt. Every inch of that machine is quality. And you know what's cool? I was thinking about this earlier today. It's really nice that we have a number of pinball companies now to fill different niches in the hobby, right? Mm-hmm. I love the fact that Stern is producing like a pro model. Where for a lot of people that's affordable. Mm-hmm. Now it's reduced and there's things missing from it, but for $5,200 like Aerosmith shipped, that's great.
That's an amazing game.
That's really good, and that helps operate. I mean, that's good for operators. That's what you're targeting. And then for folks who had complained that things are missing from pinball, or pinball's cheaped out, or you've got Jersey Jack who's creating this really high quality game that cuts no corners and everything is in there. It's not for everybody with that pricing, and I'm sympathetic to that, but you have options now. So I can only hope that pinball continues to grow and both these companies can do well. So we have these options, right?
Yeah. Their mission is to make these full featured pinball machines, and they're following through on it. I liked in regards to pricing, I liked your comment from Nickel City Con that when people would ask about how much it costs.
Thanks for bringing that up. So people would ask me at Nickel City Con, and these are non-pinball people, right? And they'd say, how much is this game? And I just braced myself. I was like, well, 9,000. They go, oh, that's not bad. It's like, really? All right. And I know they don't know prices like we know prices, and we've seen what games cost and the rising costs, but I guess the average person thinks that that's pretty reasonable, or they can see the value in those games. So
Yeah.
Pretty cool. There was multiple people who asked that question and had the same exact response.
Huh. It's definitely interesting. It's always interesting to see the outsider's perspective on these things because we're so deep into it that, we just assume everybody kind of knows all the things we know and has the same kind of perspective that we do. So that was interesting.
Yeah. All right. Talk a little bit about what you did this past Saturday.
Yeah.
Led the charge with.
It seems like forever ago, but it was only 2 days ago that we did the St. Jude Play Live 12 games in 12 hours fundraiser. So every May, St. Jude does a big push on Twitch to raise a bunch of funds. Their goal this year is $1 million, and I think they're at about 600,000 of that. But so I saw it was happening last year. I met with Susan from St. Jude at TwitchCon when we were there, and asked her a little bit about St. Jude and about the Play Live initiative. And I said, is there a better time to do it? Or she said you can do it any time of the year, but they do a big push in May. I also talked to Josh from Domino's. They do Play Live streams too. So those are the folks that really introduced me to this. And it's one of those things that like the video game side of Twitch is all behind, but pinball hasn't really gotten into. So I thought it would be a cool way to kind of, take what we do every week, month, et cetera, for fun and put it to something good. Do some good with the platform that we've built and the audience that we've built. And so we streamed 12 games in 12 hours. We did that one other time to help kind of get us up and running with streaming. This time, all the funds went to St. Jude. We partnered up with Domino's, Tilt Cycle, Pinball Arcade, Pinballer, and Double Danger. They all contributed. Their donation incentives or rewards you could select when you gave a donation to St. Jude. They provided graciously donated all those to us. So we were able to, in the first hour, we crush our first goal. I had initially set a goal of $1,000 and it just got destroyed mostly because of these one, because of our awesome audience, right? And supportive audience, but two, because of these great donations and donation incentives that we got. So it was like, well, we got 11 more hours. What are we going to do? So I pushed the goal up to 2,000 and we blew past that. And even so we finished off the 12 hours. It actually ended up being 15 hours because Mixer Tuna is a madman and he kept streaming until 3 a.m.
Oh my God.
But we finished off with just over $2,300. And I know at least another $100 has come in even since we've closed it up. The link is still on our Twitch channel. If you go to twitch.tv/Buffalo Pinball, it's there through the end of the month. If you're listening to this after the end of the month, no worries. But if you want to throw a few dollars to St. Jude, you can still do that in the name of pinball and Buffalo Pinball.
Cool. So I want to acknowledge CT Styles brought this up before. He said in the chat that Pinball Showdown is out early. I'm willing to lend you guys a copy to show it off. So Pinball Showdown is a card game.
Yeah, it's
that someone created on Kickstarter.
Yeah, and it's got a pinball theme.
So let's talk about that. I don't even know how much it is. We could just buy it because that way, by the time you probably ship it back and forth, CT Styles, we might be out of money. Unless it's you've got an early copy and it's not coming out for months. That's very generous. Let's talk about that because I'd be willing to stream it.
Cool.
Or play it and do a review or something like that. Right?
Yeah, it's kind of like the ultimate meshing of the two things that we do on Twitch.
Which would be cool. I will try to force Kevin to play it because I'm more nerdy out on I nerd out more on board games and that's not your thing.
Yeah.
But it'd be good to get both perspectives.
Yeah, if you lead the charge, I will come and stream with you.
Yeah.
So.
Or they should send us a copy for free and we can, talk about it.
Yeah.
That's too. So it saves our viewers the expense.
Exactly.
But thank you, CT Towns. Let's message us so we don't forget and we'll discuss that.
Oh, yeah. Good point from Mixer Tuna in the chat. So to me, the highlight of the 12 hours streaming, 12 plus hours, was, okay, so if you haven't followed our Twitch channel, I don't know how we started talking about meat mountains and Arby's, but we do, and it's a thing, and now we have a meat mountain emote in our chat, and Jay ate a meat mountain live on Twitch. And if you don't know what a meat mountain is, it's every single meat that
it's not as bad as it sounds.
Arby's serves.
It's still bad.
On one sandwich, it's like a $10 sandwich. It's ridiculous. And Jay promised to eat one on stream, and he did. And we set that was another milestone we set during the stream is if Mixer Tuna would eat one if we hit $1,500. And so we hit the goal. He got a meat mountain. not only did he eat the meat mountain and play pinball at the same time, he also got to Iron Throne on Game of Thrones while eating the meat mountain. He was so we're gonna have a highlight of that going up on YouTube. So it's something to look forward to if you missed it live.
I guess. His pinball play, maybe not eating the meat mountain. If that's your thing, listen, I'm not going to judge.
It's a heroic feat either way.
It is. Martha tuned in. She's like, she's like, I tuned in to watch Tune, and he did not look well. Then she realized what was going on. She's like, oh, there you go, man.
That's amazing.
Alrighty, moving on. Yeah, we got awesome viewers, guys. Thanks for we got very loyal people who watch, and the fact that we can raise over $2,000 is very cool. So
yeah,
it takes a pinball community to do so. But thank you guys.
Yeah,
all right.
Thank you.
Allentown, I'm going to run through this quickly because this is like a month ago almost.
That's like old news. All the other podcasts have already talked about this.
I know. Well,
we can get your perspective on it.
Last month tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Allentown was a good show. If you've never been, I do recommend it. I think that they had more people there than I've noticed even before. It seems to grow every year. Like especially Friday seemed like a Saturday.
Yeah.
Which is good for pinball, and that's why I bring it up. It's good for pinball. It's good to see everybody interested in it.
So this is the Pinfest in Allentown, Pennsylvania.
Pinfest in Allentown, yeah. It was like the first weekend in May, and it's always the first weekend in May, right?
Yep.
From Friday to Saturday. Just a 2-day show. We got a bunch of pinball machines down there. I'll get to that. I keep on alluding to this. But the only update I can really say, other than I went to it, it was good, is I got to play Houdini. And when I got there, a bunch of people were coming up to me and say, "Did you play Houdini? Did you play Houdini?" No, okay, I'll get there. But I heard nothing but good things about it. So the way they had it set up, Joe from Pinball Star was there. He brought the game, and Joe Belser was there as well, who's designed the game. They had it set up for 2 balls, and that was like it. So what I'm about to say and talk about is going to be very limited because I spent a couple minutes on the machine at best, right? So that's all I could say. First of all, in seeing the game in person, it looks like a legitimate, real pinball machine. It doesn't look like a piece of trash, right? It's not like somebody just whipped something together, a box of lights, etc. It looks like the real deal. There's a lot of tight shots in that game, and again, with 2 balls, I didn't get a good feel. I don't know if I like it or dislike how it shoots. All I can say is there's a lot of shots, and I had to almost kind of peer down the playfield. I'm like, can you even hit that? And people are like, yeah, you can. And surprisingly, you can. It just doesn't seem like you can.
Okay.
So it's something different. It's unique. There's tight shots in it. I like how the curtain opens on the video screen. Like there's some kind of smart art style going on. Although some of the visuals on like the display seemed really weird. Like I remember one thing was like a handwriting like in a notebook. It's just, I don't know. It looks like maybe there's like 4 different people who did like the art for the video.
Wasn't real cohesive. Yeah, and it's still super early, like beta code. So
and that's kind of it.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. There was an annoying mode with like a sound, like some sound was really annoying. I didn't walk away thinking it's the greatest thing ever and I got to get one. But I walked away thinking, okay, this is a real pinball machine. It's a real contender. I want to spend more time with it. It's something that looks unique. The theme's kind of cool. It looked good, man. Be interesting to see how that game shapes up.
Cool. What did you think of the cabinet? Because it's got that unorthodox like back box on it and things like that.
I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter that much. It's a cabinet. I wish it looked like, if I had that in like my game lineup, because of my OCD and everything, I wish it looked like the other games, right? It sort of stands out. So I think if anything, people are going to dislike it rather than like love it. It might
kind
be
of like the highway pinball thing.
Yeah,
where it's got like the skinny back box.
It might be polarizing.
I can't have that.
But
in my
that's
house.
that's
So dumb, yeah.
you're not going to not buy it because of that, and
Right.
it has really little to do. To talk about that would be nitpicking.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
So yeah, I didn't fall in love with it like some people seem to have, and maybe they played it more than me.
Okay.
But it looks legit, man.
Awesome.
It shoots.
That's awesome to
Another
hear.
pinball
Actually,
company out there.
Because you hear a pinball company, especially one that kind of came out of the gate the way American Pinball did, and you get real skeptical, and it's like, why did they announce like this? Why did they come out like this? But the fact that they pulled together that game in like 4 months to where it is today.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
It just kind of snuck up, and I don't know if people are like the folks that I know who are knowledgeable about pinball and are saying good things about it. I don't know if they're really easily impressed by it because they're not expecting much, right? There's always some of that, right? If you're not expecting anything from this game, then something is impressive.
Yeah.
So we'll see, man. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool. More pinball.
Well, keep it going.
I guess the price point's pretty good at like $7,000 for that game, something like that. All things considered.
Yeah.
So, but the trick is, can they produce the game?
Can they move it into mass production?
And
yes.
can they move into mass production? And can they survive? And can the game work and hold up? We don't know. This is things we don't know. So temper your expectations.
But it's good to hear that at least it's starting off with something good and fun. So
yeah. And as Triton says in the chat, folks are timid because of Magic Girl. I don't blame you. I wouldn't pull the trigger on this game. Let it get out there for a while, you know, and let somebody else beta test it who has to have the newest thing on the block, right?
Yep.
Because there's going to be problems. It's just, that's pinball, man. All right. I was going to talk about the Silver Ball Cyclorama. Martha covered that, though.
Yeah,
we
can skip over that.
Skip it. Let's move on. All right, so here's what's going on with me, and this is why I've been missing some streams. Don't worry, I still love streaming.
And he still loves you.
I still love you, okay? I know we had a viewer who I feel bad, and it's good to be missed, man. It's good to be missed, Attack. I saw that. I've only been missing it because I was doing more pinball, and I think things will calm down, all right? I think it's going to calm down. But I got into the operating business of operating pinball machines, which I'm super excited about because there's really only one place to play pinball in Buffalo, and I just want to spread the love for pinball around. I don't know if I've ever mentioned this before, but maybe back in 2012, I was going to start a bar, and I was exploring with some people. Did I ever talk to you about that? Like, were you?
You and I were like, should we do this? And we're like, man, it seems like a lot.
So you were in what we were developing and that. Okay, so it was like me, you, maybe Rob.
Yeah.
Okay, we were kicking around the idea because the opportunity's there, right?
Yeah.
But I jettisoned that idea just because bars are risky, blah, blah, blah. I've never run a bar. Like, there's a lot of factors that it just wasn't worth doing that. But what happened at that time is really started Buffalo Pinball, and we grew that. So I always wanted to do something in pinball, and I always thought about operating games. And the time was just right to do it. And I pulled the trigger on it. I've got 3 partners who are involved in the business with me, which helps out tremendously because it's not a heavy lift because I've got my full-time job, and then the rest of the time I'm doing everything else in pinball. So, with 3 other people doing this with you, it's manageable. I don't know how to fix machines, so we've got Jamie Brundage, who's been collecting games since the mid-'90s. He's got a collection of like 30-some pinball machines.
Yeah, if you watched our stream from the league finals, that was at Jamie's place. So.
He's probably the best repair person in Buffalo. I mean, he's super knowledgeable. So he's able to do the repairs for us, right? My other partners, Brian and Mike, they're both business owners. So to the table, they're entrepreneurs. They know how to run a business. So I feel like we have the right team of people. And what I'm contributing with is kind of going out there and getting the relationships and selling it to bars, and also going to these locations and saying that, I've been doing Buffalo Pinball for a number of years, and if you put a pinball machine in here, we'll have tournaments, we'll have Selfie League. We're going to support it through our social media and our website and blah, blah, blah. And the reception has been phenomenal. We've got it in now 2 locations, soon to be a 3rd, I think, this week.
Nice.
One is Community Beer Works, our good friend. Thanks to Brendan for helping to facilitate a lot of this. There's a Metallica Pro there that is it's got some nice mods in there. It plays great. It's been doing well ever since we put it in there a couple weeks ago. I missed a stream. That's why I was gone. I was putting that game on location.
Yep.
We just put in 2 games at Ebenezer Ale House. This will be meaningless to some people, but Ebenezer Ale House is like this craft beer bar, right? So good beer that's out in West Seneca. So it's outside of Buffalo, but they get a good captive audience. We put an Aerosmith in there and a Game of Thrones Pro.
Nice. Again,
we got these games like down in Allentown, and they're modded, so we paid less than what you would for new in box and saved a ton of money, and all the bugs are worked out in the game. Again, I got a message from the owner. He's like, the game has been played constantly by our regulars. They're loving it. So what's been really cool is when I've been talking to some of these bar owners, they're super excited to have pinball because there's just no pinball in Buffalo. And that's a true story because Pocketeer's not even in Buffalo.
Right.
and there's might be a laundry place that has a broken shack. I'm not even kidding. It's a broken shack, right? So pinball is coming back to Buffalo. I'm really excited to be behind that, because what that is also going to do is that people who go to these bars, we'll get them involved in our league, our selfie league, our summer tournament, things like that. And we're just going to grow pinball in the city. And my goal in the next 5 years is to be one of the best cities in the world for pinball and location. So that's what's been driving me lately, and that's what's been taking up some of my time.
Awesome. So with that, we've also so since we started Buffalo Pinball, we've had a map on our website for where to play and locations to play. Kind of with this initiative, we've transitioned that over to Pinball Map, because Pinball Map, I don't think it was even really around when we first started, and if it was very limited. And
I don't think so. And they had reached out to us before, but it was just to put Buffalo on the map. But we're just so overwhelmed, man. Yep. There's a limit to what we can do.
Mm-hmm. So we've gone and moved that over to Pinball Map. So if you download the app or go on the website, you can find all the locations in Buffalo on there, including the new ones that Nick and his company are putting games in. And so it just plays into that whole growing the pinball community in Buffalo, and kind of that's the heart of what we do.
It's fun. I mean, I've gotten to see people who haven't seen pinball or haven't played pinball suddenly experience that joy for the first time. Mm-hmm. It's really exciting to see and really fun to see. So I can't wait to see what things are going to be like in a few years.
Yeah.
Because we're not stopping. We're just going to keep on keeping on until you're tripping over pinball machines like you are out in Portland, Seattle.
We're coming for you, Portland.
That's my dream, man.
Yeah.
So more pinball, man. It's good for everybody.
Awesome.
All right, Kev. Let's go off to let's do the review.
It's
Batman
review
66. Time. Thanks to our this is brought to you by our Patreon patrons, Batman 66.
All right. So let's show you some Batman pictures. Let's get back to the first one. Okay.
Which is appropriate, because Kevin's gonna kick it off talking about the art on this game. By the way, do you have the price point for these?
Oh, I didn't
These
look
are
it
special.
in the 2 minutes before the stream, I didn't look it up.
I'll tell you what, guys. This is where our chat can help us out. If you can give us the price points for the Stern Batman 66 in the chat, we can update everybody listening to this podcast. So
I think the range is from $8,000 to $15,000. I don't remember where
the range is fine if somebody can confirm that.
So yeah, Batman 66 released. It finally came out this year. They announced it at Expo last year. So it's a reimagining of the Batman Dark Knight game, but with a Batman 66 theme. If Batman 66 is the original TV series from way back in the day. I guess it's a comic book as well, but it's was the first game produced with the new LCD screen, and it's so yeah, we'll kick off the review with looking at art like we always do. So the art on the game is, so it's got quote unquote hand drawn art, but it's got a limited number of pre-drawn images. So
that's weird. It does not look like hand-drawn art to me.
Yeah.
I thought it was photoshopped.
Yeah, but no, it's actually it's an artist, but it's photo. It's kind of like Game of Thrones has got that photorealistic.
It's so weird, man.
Painting
it's like, why would you do it if you're?
Yeah.
I don't know.
On one hand, I can see it because it's based off of a TV show where people know these characters, they know their faces.
Right.
You want to see Adam West and all the the Joker. You want to see that, but it could be more of a stylized, cartoonized kind of version of it. I'm not familiar with the art style on the comic, but I don't know if it's. I doubt it's like this if it is. But
okay. So they said the MSRP is $8,599 for the premium. Now, when I say premium, that is, there's no pro. So that's the base model, $8,599. Now, obviously, you can get it cheaper from a distributor, but that gives you an idea.
$8,599 all the way up to $15,000-$16,000. So there's a pro model or no pro model. There's a premium, which is the $8,599, premium LE and super LE.
Which the premium, so the base model of this game is at least $2,000 more than the base model of most Sterns.
Right.
Okay. This is important to bring up, though. This is a reason we're setting the table for that.
It plays into
you can't
your
not
perspective
talk about
yeah.
the price on it.
Okay, so what we're looking at now, if you're watching, this is the Super LE, and the Super LE has some additional bells and whistles. The gameplay is all the same from as far as I know, and from what I can remember, we did play one of these, but and we have I keep wanting to say pro, but it's the premium on location here in Buffalo, so we've put some time in on that. The main differences between the three models are like the bling. On the Super LE, there's side art that has it's got like a glossy finish, and the armor's got kind of like a flaky kind of glittery look to it, I guess you could say. It's got an upgraded speaker panel. It's got a topper. Some of them have like limited edition cards and the signature of Adam West and stuff. So that's the Super LE.
Right. So there's no gameplay differences between the premium and the Super LE.
Right. They're all cosmetic.
So $7,000 in cosmetic differences.
Yeah, and obviously the limited number.
Which
produced,
which
was originally 30, but then they made it like 80 because I guess the demand was there for it. So this is the premium version that we're looking at.
So that's
now.
what we have on location at Pocketeer.
Yep. So yeah, there's a close up look at the side art on the Super LE.
Yeah.
Super shiny. I mean,
it looks nice.
It is amazing looking.
We've both
cabinet.
seen it.
Yeah.
It's a good looking game, no doubt.
Is it a $16,000 game though? That's the question. So that's the comparison of the sides. That's the premium right there. Just kind of like your standard black side rails with standard artwork on the side too. This is the speaker panel on the Super LE. The speaker panel on the Super LE has the upgraded like surrounds and speaker covers, speaker grills and stuff. This all sort of plays into the art package overall, because that's really the selling point between the three models. Again, it's got that flaky kind of glittery look to the speaker panel. Again, like I mentioned, it's got the LCD screen in there for the first time. So
so I'm gonna just update on the pricing. So this comes from Gameroom and Voo. So the premium base model's $85.99, and then we move up to $9,999, pretty much $10,000, and then pretty much $15,000.
Yeah, this is $8,600, $10,000, and $15,000. So
okay,
those are your three options for Batman 66. Other than that, let me see. I know I have a playfield shot. So there's the playfield. Again, it's using like these same like images of the Batman cast in different ways. Like the heads are cut out, and it's got a lot of purples and pinks and yellows, which goes with the theme. It's got a very cartoony, colorful look to it. I like the overall look of it. I wouldn't say it's the best pinball machine art I've ever seen. It's also clearly not the worst. But
and the premium model doesn't have like color changing GI or anything like that. It's just like the basic white light.
Oh, really? I guess I hadn't paid attention to that.
Which makes like even Aerosmith, I think, has different colors in the GI.
Yeah, Aerosmith has awesome light in our show, and maybe because the code's so early, it's just not implemented here.
I mean, it's possible.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Let's see if there's anything else art wise I want to talk about. Yeah, that's pretty much the art in a nutshell. And what were your thoughts on the art?
So, I mean, the art's fine. I mean, I guess it's what I would expect for that game. Mm-hmm. It's not like I would ever rave about it. It's as we always say, when the art's sort of like there, it gets the job done. Yeah. Not my favorite colors in the world. Mm-hmm. I think obviously the Super LE looks a lot better just in terms of the package because it's got the bling. But of course, it's going to look better for like $7,000. So yeah, it's okay.
Yeah,
it doesn't. I'm thinking about it in terms of seeing it in Pocketeer in my mind on location, and it just doesn't look amazing or anything like that. There's better looking pins kind of that stand out to me. Like, I hate to keep on doing this, but Aerosmith just overshadows that game in terms of the look. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. Well, that's the difference between putting together a full art package with an artist behind the whole thing. You got
no doubt.
Dirty Donnie, like he's got his vision for the game and what it's going to look like on every inch of it versus like I have these assets at my disposal. How am I going to put them together to make them look nice on a playfield?
No doubt. I mean, that's the reason, right?
Yeah.
You know, there's a good reason for it. Mm-hmm. But in terms of how impressive everything looks, it's okay.
It's colorful. It'll draw you in a little bit, but it definitely doesn't have that cohesive feel like a Ghostbusters.
It represents the show, right?
Yeah.
And that's what it needs to do.
Yeah. It falls in the it gets the job done category.
It's the job done. So sound kept taken away. And by the way, they just updated the game to what, like 0.75, something like that. So we're not even at version 1.0 yet.
Yep.
And this game has been released since I think it shipped in January.
Yeah.
So we're like almost 6 months in right now.
Yeah.
And it was announced in like October, like not playable, but it was at the Pinball Expo, right?
Yeah. And George Gomez had announced code updates every 2 weeks, and that really hasn't happened.
I mean, I'm not surprised.
It's unrealistic anyways.
It's unrealistic.
And for operators, it's kind of ridiculous, like to be expecting them to update their code every 2 weeks. For collectors, it's good.
So I just bring that up that this was updated. This Monday right now, it was updated like Thursday or Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So Kevin and I have not played the newest code, so take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
But considering it leaped to like not even 0.1 yet, you know what I mean? Like, it can't be that monumental in differences. So proceed, Kev.
Right. Yeah. So sound wise, up to this point, the sound is super limited. And I don't mean super limited edition. It's just like there's very bare bones. There's almost no call outs. The sound effects they're kind of basic. I would say at this point, it's pre 0.75 code. It's subpar in the audio package.
Nothing there.
There's nothing there.
There's nothing there. There's no call outs, man. There's nothing. There's like this jazzy music kind of playing.
And the phone that rings constantly and drives you insane is like, okay, I get it. I got to answer the phone.
Yeah. I mean, the sound is just bad.
Yeah.
I come out. That's the first time we've ever said this about a game, but the sound's just bad because it's non-existent. I don't know if it's bad. It's just non-existent.
Right.
If it doesn't exist, how can it be bad? We're getting philosophical now, but it's just some jazz music, ringing phone, and maybe that's it. Yeah.
Not good sound as of right now, or as of the previous code update. Why don't you kick it off with toys, and I'll pull up some pictures.
Yeah. Okay. So there's two main toys in the game. One is the recycled crane from Batman Dark Knight, which I think it's a cool toy. I think it's one of the best toys that Stern's done. It's definitely in contention for one of the best when you talk about that. It moves around the playfield. It adds different shots. It's sort of like the Buck. It's sort of like Mick, but it doesn't kind of put into the groove of the playfield. It hovers. Mm-hmm. I like that fact. I like that toy because it adds more shots to the game. Right? It's dynamic. The other toy is something original. It's something. It seems pretty ambitious and seems unique. It's in the back left of the playfield, and this takes up sort of like a lot of real estate. I mean, you can see like this is where the money went to the game, right? When you're talking about toys, because the rest of the playfield is pretty bare bones. There's a spinning disc, and it rotates around. Sometimes there's like a TV screen on it, like a little LCD, which I don't even notice when I'm playing, to be honest. And then some targets, and then like when it spins around again, it's kind of like that Tales of Arabian Nights spinner, with the lamp on it kind of deal. And then I forget even what the other one is. So
there's the spinner.
When you talk about this toy, the concept of it sounds really good. When you're playing it or doing anything with it, it looks like just they threw a bunch of junk on the playfield, and it's too busy, right? Mm-hmm. At least in my opinion, it's this compact area. It's just too busy. It's kind of a mess, and I don't think it does anything for the game. It looks too junked up. It doesn't make the game more fun having it there. I like the idea and concept, but in execution, it just doesn't add anything to the game. And unfortunately, I think that is, something that differentiates it certainly from Batman Dark Knight, and it couldn't have been an expensive thing necessarily put in that game. And it's also something that's going to maybe break. I mean, I don't know. I shouldn't say it's going to break or not, but it looks complicated.
Yeah. I've seen pictures of it taken out of the playfield, and this giant cylinder canister thing that it's just like I would not want to have to dig that out of my pinball machine.
And I don't think it's a code issue with that toy. I don't think it's just going to – I don't think it's going to become anything more than that. It's just really busy. Can't really even distinguish what's going on there, really examining it. And, even when it rotates around, I don't think it does much for the game. I mean, that's just me, though.
Yeah, and there have been, I know I've heard reports and read online that people have gotten those games on the cylinder, circular, I don't know what you want to call it, the rotisserie thing, whatever. It's not sitting level in the playfield, so balls get hung up on it. So there are some mechanical issues with it as well. It's certainly one of the most ambitious toys I've seen in a pinball machine. They tried a lot. I don't know that they necessarily succeeded, and I don't think it's something that could be rectified with code.
I can't see how it would, because you see everything that it's going to do, right? Essentially, and then okay, what more can you do with that,
Yeah.
right? If it's just not fun hitting it or shooting for it, what's the point?
The lazy Susan, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that trip.
They were asking, so the discussion is, why is this more money? Here's my understanding of it.
Okay.
So Kapow Pinball is Joe Kamikow, right? So Joe Kamikow has the license for Batman 66, is what I understand. And I think he approached Stern and said, let's do Batman 66. So he needs to take his cut on these games. And I think they're also trying out maybe to go for like these like maybe really classic themes, right, to appeal to really the collector market who has deep pockets. And, you know, there are obviously there's folks out there who want to have something that's limited, and they'll pay. I mean, the game might be priced at $15, but there's probably people who would pay $30 for it just to be, I'm one of X amount in the world that has this game.
Okay.
So that's my understanding of what's going on, but I know that this is not just Stern's Kapow, so obviously Joe Kamikow needs his cut, and I think that's what's going on, right? Kibbs, does that sound
Yeah, it
right?
adds another level into the mix, another middleman. 2084 in chat says it's actually easily adjustable, so it can be level. So that's good to hear.
Good.
It's it'd be nice if it shipped that way, but you know. So all right, that's the gist of the toys. I agree.
toy.
The crane is awesome. I'm glad they reused it. I do really like that toy. Otherwise, but
It's a cool toy.
the Lazy Susan, nah, not so much.
No.
DM
DMD and lighting.
DMD and lighting,
Which now LCD and
LCD
lighting.
and lighting. Yeah, we need to update that since we're officially out of the LCD era,
Yeah.
or DMD era.
Well, we'll do DMD game reviews.
Yeah, we okay. So lighting we talked about a little bit. It's again, hopefully just a result of such early code that there's not much there.
There's nothing happening.
Yeah.
It looks like a game like when they first came out with LEDs, right? They don't really do much.
They're just on.
They're just on.
Yeah.
So and we were just talking about like, you know, Aerosmith that has impressive lighting, and I'm comparing apples to apples, so I'll bring Aerosmith up a lot, right? Because that lighting is great on that game.
Yep.
Or Dialed In, which is a $9,000 game, right? So it's in that price range. And actually, these games are more for the most part.
Yep.
And Dialed In has amazing lighting and presentation.
Yeah.
And then you cannot help but compare a game like Dialed In to Batman 66 because it's competing at that price point, and even more so. And then even easier comparison is Aerosmith, because Aerosmith is cheaper than that from the same company. So take your pick, but the lighting is just poor. Again, it doesn't exist.
Yeah. There's no one of the most important things to me in a pinball machine is like the choreography and the presentation. You want it to do awesome stuff and let you know that you've done something awesome in the game and get rewarded for doing awesome stuff in the game and make it an experience. And when that's lacking, it's really kind of disappointing. And it's one of the things I notice a lot.
Yeah.
So, so you know, that is something that can be updated with code, and they've done it. They did it on The Walking Dead, where it was very just kind of plain. And now it's one of the things that people will up and buy a premium for, is to get that extra light show because it's so cool and immersive. So, I have confidence that that's something they could pull off. But as of right now, very limited. Gameplay.
Oh, the DMD.
Oh, the DMD. So
The LCD.
Okay.
LCD. There's
Man.
nothing there, man.
Man, it's just clips of the TV show.
It's garbage.
And some of them are like
Sorry.
the Joker, when he's just like does the same thing over
He's
and
looping.
over and over again.
He's just looping. He hit a shot. He just this like loop. It looks like the
like,
game is hung up or something, but it's not.
Yeah.
And we'll get to this. I'm gonna hear. Oh, it's early. It's early. We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
But right now, for a game that's been out for 5, almost 6 months,
At a premium price.
it looks like somebody made this as a project pin in their garage in terms of what's on the LCD. It's a joke, man.
Yeah, I remember. I messaged you about this when they first like released at the expo, and they showed like the screenshots of the game. And let me see if I don't know if I have one here in my.
So 28.4 says the looping Joker's gone from the most recent code. No, okay, so that makes sense. I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
You know that, and you hope that there's more to come.
But yeah, so you can see like on this screen if you're watching, it's just like yellow text on a black background with a QR code. It's like some of them are like just it's like the Batman logo with somebody took some text and slapped it over the top of it. So it's really lacking the custom animations that you've seen. Like they've definitely stepped up their game when it came to Aerosmith.
Yeah, Aerosmith is great. So custom animations, right? I mean, they could have cheaped out and just put Aerosmith videos in there, which would have really sucked. But custom animations with Aerosmith, really fun, really builds out the game. It just looks like they threw a couple clips of Batman 66 and that's it.
Yeah,
or some still images.
They put
maybe.
an old TV frame around video clips of the show, basically, and overlaid some text every once in a while. The one thing I do like is when you get the high score and it puts your name on the newspaper. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's cool.
Well, I mean, so Tall Tots is in the chat. Admittedly, it's hard to get new content for a TV show that's 50 years old. Well, we're not saying get new content, but they had like 2 or 3 seasons, so there needs to be more. Or you could have gone down the route of creating animated, right?
Batman lends itself perfectly to that.
Batman totally lends itself perfect. The intro to Batman is animated.
Mm-hmm.
They could have done that style throughout of it. So that's not an excuse in my book. It's not like, you don't have enough content. It's just not. And you cannot help but compare it to a game that came out this year from the same company, which did it brilliantly. They did such a good job with the LCD on Aerosmith.
Yeah, so super lacking. All right, I'm glad I almost skipped over that, and that was a
no,
point I wanted to
I've
make.
not forgotten about that. I've got the Lupin Joker in my head right now, but it's gone.
All right, gameplay. What do you think?
So this is probably one of the more pluses with the game, the shining moments in the game. The shots feel fine in it. Nothing mind blowing. They've improved, I guess, the flow from Batman Dark Knight, which I didn't have a problem with it. I know it's maybe a little less stop and go than that game. That game wasn't a ton, but it definitely slowed the game down with the way it does. So you have ramps that will return the ball. But it's sort of like a fan layout. It's a wide open playfield, which again that appeals to me as a player. That's kind of what I like for the most part. The gameplay is fine.
Yeah,
the gameplay is fine. There's I think when you talk about gameplay, you have to also talk about how the presentation comes into it. There's just no exciting moments right now. There's nothing that gets your heart going up or really get into the game or get drawn into the game. So bare bones.
Yeah, and I think the layout is okay. Like you said, fan layout. George Gomez helped update this. But when I think about the gameplay of a pinball machine, I think about how things shoot and how they feel. And like things feel really chintzy on this game, especially that left ramp.
It does.
The left ramp is just like hovering there, and it's this wire form, and it's kind of bounces when you hit it. And the right ramp's got that little the little metal intro or entryway to it, and it just feels it does not feel like a solid $8, $9, $16,000
I'm glad
game.
you brought that up, man. It feels worse. I shouldn't use the word worse, but like Aerosmith Pro. It's a cheaper game by like $2,000, same company. I don't care if there's middleman, not middleman. I mean, that just feels far more solid. The playfield and the toy there just feels so much better.
Yeah.
It does feel like really chintzy for a game of that price from Stern to come out with that.
Yeah, to me, it feels from like a feel perspective, a tactile feel. It feels like early 2000s Stern to me, not like 2016 Stern.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. It just feels so bare bones, and I don't know. It doesn't feel great.
I mean, maybe that's what happens when you try to like take an existing playfield and reconfigure it. You're gonna run into some of that.
I don't know, but when you're assembling it and you're like, we're gonna sell this to people and we're gonna sell it for this price point, you got to be like, I don't know, guys.
Yeah. George Gomez is amazing too. He has the capability to make amazing games. He has made amazing games. I mean, he made Monster Bash. Come on, it's like, so I don't know what happened here.
I don't mind the idea of like if Stern is going to charge like $2,000 more for a base model than what they normally do, then fine. If you want to test that out, like what are our more robust games, like a line from Stern? They're pretty much doing that with like premium anyways.
Yeah.
But man, I don't get it. It's like you're charging more for less now in the extreme.
Yeah, you need to pack it filled with like custom molded toys and original things.
There's so much plastic on that
yeah,
game. Like,
we could talk about this here because before we get to the end of the review, there's really nowhere else to talk about it. But the things they've put in this game are just like off the shelf Matchbox toys and like the bat signal. I know I have that in here in my pictures. It's just it's like a toy.
Listen, man, I'm sorry. This whole game feels like a cash grab. It doesn't feel like anything but like trying to cash out on that. Right now, pinball's hot, and there's people who have the kind of money to just buy whatever. They like the theme, they're gonna buy it. You limit it, they're gonna buy it.
Yep.
And listen, Stern's a company, more power to them. But as a consumer, as Nick Lane, you can't help but like kind of shake your head at that and just see it for what it is.
Yeah, the spinner literally has a Matchbox car on it, and it's on top of like an orange piece or pink piece or whatever of like semi-transparent plexiglass.
Hot Wheels. It's so chintzy,
so
man.
bad. Oh, I just when I look at that plastic that it's sitting on and the piece above it, it's just like so chintzy put together. It's no, things like that. Like those are the things you need to nail if you want to charge super LE prices.
You know what's funny? So Aerosmith, you know how like these games have like a button on it, you know, starting with like AC/DC, like the fire button.
Uh-huh.
So Aerosmith has a button on it, but like it's chromed out on the Pro where it says like smart button. On Batman 66, there's a sticker on that button or wherever the bat gadget or something. It's just like, my God, how could we get any cheaper with this?
Yeah, this looks like it's before they even put the sticker on
Yeah,
there.
before they really blinged out. Like, could you put a sticker? Like, come on. I don't know.
Looks
man.
like the Super LE might have a little like Batman symbol there around it, so they stepped it up for that. You got to pay $16K
That could be a
for
sticker.
it.
That could be a
It
sticker.
could be.
I can't see.
Yeah, it's too far away. All right, rules. There aren't any. Next.
There aren't any. It's copy. It's just shoot this shot. And this starts that. There aren't any next. There's nothing there.
Yeah.
This is a game that's been out for 5-6 months. There's no rules to it. This is probably the worst example of Stern releasing a game with just, you know, they've released bare bones games before, but they've updated it quicker than this.
Yep.
Or they've gotten more in the game quicker than this. There's nothing there.
Yeah. I will say that Vuvoof, one of our viewers and participants in the chat here, he said, I was talking to him yesterday about it, and he said there are significant gameplay improvements code-wise in the 0.75 code. So thankfully they're starting to make progress, but we're like 5-6 months into the lifespan of this game.
How charitable can you get when you release a product? I don't care what it is, right? Pinball machine, video game, a car, an airplane, right? And it's just missing stuff for this long.
Yeah.
What is going on, man? What's
Yeah.
going on? And I know that there's a story that Aerosmith was supposed to come out beforehand. Like, I hear this stuff, but then don't release it. I don't know what you got to do, but you want to put a product out there, you're going to get this kind of criticism.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't bring me any joy to we're sort of trashing the game, not on purposely, but because it's so disappointing and you can't help but look at it and just say, what is going on with it?
We can only review what's there.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know, like a month ago when we gave Nothing But Love for Aerosmith, it was totally justified because the game came out with code. It was great, shot great. You can see the quality. Price point is great for what you get. It's one of my favorite games. It's gonna, if we did the top 10 Sterns now, it's definitely in the top 5. It could be higher. You know, I don't know how high that goes, but great game. This is a totally different story.
So code-wise, one more thing I will say is that it's got Lyman sheets at the helm. So if you bought one, you're nearly guaranteed it's going to end up being something masterful at the end because Lyman does an amazing job with code. He took The Walking Dead from nothing to the amazing game that is the number one on my Stern list game. So if you're willing to wait it out and if you're okay with that at the price that you paid for this game, then I think you'll be rewarded in the end. Who knows how long it's going to take to
I mean,
get
well, that's
get
like
there,
the quote-unquote promise of Lyman. Like, Lyman Sheets is my favorite rules designer, right? I love the fact that he's at a helm of a game because I just have great confidence that he's going to make something special. What if he leaves Stern? What if he gets hit by a bus? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, like, why buy a game like this now, as long as you can get it, you know, in a year or two from now until it's done?
Mm-hmm.
And then you're just perpetuating this thing from Stern where they keep on doing this. So ultimately, it's the consumer's fault, right? Because if Stern's doing this and they're making a profit, then, you know, it's the people who are buying this game.
Well,
That's
it's
perpetuating
also their model of how they're selling these and making them so limited. So if you wanted a Super LE model, you had to buy it.
Right.
You had to make a video begging to buy this game.
Begging to buy
basically.
a box of lights,
Right.
as far as I'm concerned. It's just, I don't know, man.
So that was another real turnoff. Was how they launched this game.
They do
So,
a lot of, Stern does a lot of great things, and then they can do a lot of, like, things the next day where you're just kind of scratching your head.
Shaking your head.
It's like there's just different people at the company making decisions.
Right.
It just makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so listen, Lyman has just made amazing games and rules. So Kevin and I might be singing a different story in terms of the game with rules, and rules can definitely impact our impression or enjoyment of a game significantly.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to change away the price point. It's not going to change the kind of the chintziness,
The build quality.
and all that. That will forever remain. but there could be a lot more added to it. I just don't know how close to being done, and I don't know how much time Lyman is going to invest in a game like this. We don't know. There's too many unknowns right now.
Yeah, it's I don't know how much more we can recap it. So the last thing we review on in our reviews is lastability, and I think it's kind of hard to say in this case, but how do you feel the lastability will be on this game?
I mean, as of right now, and we can only review it right now,
Yeah.
5-6 months into being out. I just don't even care if I never play the game again. To be honest, I'm not compelled by it.
Yeah, I hardly ever play it when we go to Pocketeer. They have 50 games there. It's like 9 times out of 10 I'm going to play something else.
You know, I think that might be a question for next year. We can revisit this review and give an update and see where we're at and if we have different feelings on it because the code's amazing or something like that. But as of right now, if I never play the game again, I'm okay.
So I'd almost rather just play Batman Dark Knight, for
I
half
would
the
too.
price.
I would too. There's more there. The game's complete.
Yep, there's more there. For me, the theme appeals more to me.
It
than
looks
the
less cheap
Batman.
than that too. Like that's the thing. The build quality on that game looks way better than Batman 66, which makes no sense. It shouldn't.
No sense at all. All right, that brings us to.
Can we go through what I need a refresher too of what our so we do a scale of 1 to 10, and I have an idea of where this is going to be, but I just want to verify and remind the viewers as to what our rankings actually mean. So, all right, Kevin, take it away. What are the ranges?
Score key for us is from 0 to 2. It's a burn it. From 3 to 5, it's an expensive nightlight. 6 to 8 is a solid game, and 9 to 10 is a buy it. Why don't you kick it off with your number rating?
We could not have termed this any better. Right now, this game is an expensive nightlight. I give it a 4. It just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. I'm glad I don't own one or buy one. I feel bad for some people who went out in good faith and got this game only to be kind of let down where it currently is when there's so many better options out there. I hope that we change our tune and that we can get it up maybe up to a solid game range, which would be a 6 to 8 because Lyman, works his magic on it. But right now, that's a 4. I want nothing to do with the game. It's just an expensive nightlight. Not even a really bright or pretty one at that.
No, exactly. It has the expensive part nailed. It nailed that part. So.
And that's the worst rating I've ever given. The lowest I've ever given up to that point was maybe a 7.5.
Yeah.
So take that for what it's worth.
Yeah. So for me, it's like it's right there too in the 3 to 5 range. Expensive nightlight. I guess I'll throw it right in the middle too. It's got to be a 4. It has to be.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know. It is what it is. It
is what it is.
I don't want to play it. There's not a lot there to play when you do, and it's got a long way to go still. 6 months in, and considering the price.
You can't rate a game based on the promise. You can't rate a game that Lyman's doing the code, it's going to be amazing. You can't do that. You got to look at it for what it is. And it's not like we're not being charitable and the game just came out yesterday and it's like, oh guys, give it a month or two and the code will be there. Not true. It's way too late, way too long at this point. So an unfortunate 4 from us.
So we, and it's like we're not here to trash pinball machines. We want all pinball machines to be awesome, but
they all can't be.
They're not all going to be awesome.
And hopefully, what keeps improving and keeping game designers honest is to put out a product that's finished, right, and a product that delivers on what they're asking for. And these games aren't cheap,
right?
And not everybody has that kind of income to kind of take a chance on that. Maybe they really love the theme of Batman 66 and they sold some games or they stretched themselves for this game, and unfortunately. Stern hasn't kept up with a lot of the other hits that they have in terms of a lot of the other quality pinball machines that they've put out.
Yeah, and I will say that Stern has been doing a much, much better job at shipping games with more complete code. I don't know what happened with this game particularly that it seems like it's so rushed. There's been speculation that Aerosmith wasn't quite ready, so they just kind of rushed that off to the production line before it was really ready. But Aerosmith shipped with awesome code. Ghostbusters shipped with good code. Game of Thrones also shipped with very good code. So they've been stepping up their game when it comes to code. That's just for some reason this game has fallen behind.
So Fifth Wheel asked if we reviewed Dialed In and what the score was. As said in the beginning of this podcast, because we have a partnership with JJP, we're obviously biased, so we're not reviewing it. with that said, Kevin and I both said at the beginning of this, we're trying to find a way to buy that machine. So you can take that for what it's worth if we want to go out and buy dialed in.
Yeah.
So you fill in the blanks, man.
That is what it is. All right, so that's going to bring this episode of Brody Even Talk Pinball to a close. Before we wrap up, I want to give a couple plugs here. So please, if you want a way to support us, you can go to our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Buffalo Pinball, and hit that subscribe button for $5 a month. You'll get access to emoticons, you get ad-free viewing, you'll be able to post links in chat and a few other small perks like that. But that's a great way to support us, and it shows Twitch that you guys like what we do on Twitch. For the Patreon, go to patreon.com/Buffalo Pinball. If you're a podcast listener, you don't really care about Twitch, you don't understand what Twitch is, you just want to keep enjoying the podcast and support us a little bit, you can donate to us at the $1 or $5 level. The $5 level gets to vote on the monthly games, right?
They do.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you guys want to see us review a particular game, do that. We usually give like 3 games as options, and then out of respect for our Twitch viewers, we'll ask them for suggestions on what games to review, and we'll kind of narrow it down from there.
Yep.
Based on ones that Kevin and I are comfortable reviewing.
For sure. Be sure to follow us on social media. You can check us out on Twitter. We're at Buffalo Pinball, also at Buffalo Pinball on Instagram. Check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Buffalo Pinball, for archives of all our Brody Even Pinball shows and tournament and competition coverage. When we hit wizard modes, we put them on there, and you can even see some Hedgehog halftime. So I'm not going to explain that. You have to go there and check it out.
Yeah. Thank you. 2084 said we were pretty harsh with that review, and it's true, man. It's like, how do you hurt the ones you love or something, or just like the tough talk to Batman 66. I don't know how you want to say it. It's no joy not praising a game, but I mean, look, last month we gave Aerosmith, I give it like a 9, right? You know, they're worlds apart in difference, and it's opinions, right? So somebody might look at that game and feel totally different than it. I bet it's people who bought that game, but hopefully they could turn it around. It's not done. They can make the code better. So
yeah. All right. You can check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/group/Buffalo Pinball, and I think that's it.
All right, guys, have a good night. We'll catch you in June for a podcast. Then I think our guest is going to be Joe Side, and we'll talk to him about pinball.edu.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Take care.